Chapter 24, Part 2. Once I kill all of you, I will not even need to participate in the tournament. With no competition, I will receive the Banukazka by forfeit, Vaettir says. Yumura's body flashes with several bright lights as he receives magical stat boosts from the mages of Unending. Your selfish choices on this island have left you alone. Yumura points to the mages, Mishi, and the champions of Vaettir. Our common goal of preventing monsters like you from claiming the ultimate power of the Banukazka has united us as allies. You cannot hope to defeat all of us, because we are fighting for something greater than ourselves. Me, a monster? Vaettir screams. You are a Sakari. I have seen the news. I know that you are a murderer of thousands. Your victim count exceeds my own by many times over. How can you dare look down on me, judge me? You are correct in your assessment of me, Yumura says, calmly. I am a murderer. I am a monster. That is why I am not fit to wield the Banukazka either. Then why are you here? Why are you entering this tournament? It makes no sense. To one who only sees the world through their own lens of lust for power, you would not understand. I am here not for the prize, but only for the taking of the lives of both Hui and Inyana. One of the mages can win the tournament for all I care, so long as I am able to kill my sister and Hui. Then withdraw, Vaettir says, trying to calm himself and appear more rational. Withdraw from this tournament, and I will make sure you get your fights with the other Sakari. I care not what happens to them or you. I have no qualms with any of you personally. So long as I gain the Banukazka, I have no problem allowing you your revenge. A tempting offer, surely one I must consider. Yumura, Jake shouts. You can't. Yumura begins to laugh. It seems as though my choice has been made for me. He raises his free hand, again combusting the black flame into his palm. You are making a grave mistake, Sakari, Vaettir says. I am giving you one opportunity at both your revenge and keeping your life. This offer will not linger for long. Reject me and I will not show you mercy again. I thank you for the gesture, but I am not nearly as benevolent. You will receive no chance to escape your fate. I am going to kill you no matter what you say or do. Beg or do not beg, it does not matter. Killing you will provide me with more than enough strength to crush Inyana and Hui completely. You are a fool, Sakari, Vaettir growls. You will never get your chance to fight the others now. I will leave your body to rot here on the beach, a feast for the birds and crabs. Oh, a truly morbid visual, Yumura laughs. I can only hope to grant you a fate equally befitting of your greatness. Damn you, Vaettir growls, balling his fists tightly. He uses telekinesis to raise the Yazatan's swords back into the air to circle around him. It appears that you are done talking, Yumura observes. As such, our battle must now come to its conclusion. You are just a Sakari, Vaettir growls. You are hardly more important than a human. Yumura scoffs. Your constant denial of your own humanity is sad. You have no right to any moral superiority. Half of your being is human. Vaettir growls in anger, balling his fists tightly. I am neither human nor angel. I am unique. There are no others alive like me in the entire world. I very much doubt that, Yumura says. The Yazata seem to be more deviant than holy when it comes to their sexual appetites. Likely, there are thousands of little half-breeds running around this world alone. I would even wager that they have done the same to countless other worlds as well. My ancestry is not that common, Belain screams. The Yazata enjoy sowing their seed in many fields, Ymir grins. Even if they do not come to water any of them, a handful will still come to sprout eventually. Belain shakes with fury, unable to contain his rage. How dare you insult my heritage? My mother was chosen. She was not some random whore. Ymir shrugs. You said it, not me. Belain rushes to the Sakari, headbutting him so hard that Ymir is knocked off his feet. Blood runs down his face as he stands back up. Blitzing with superior speed, Belain manages to follow up with multiple hard jabs and hook punches. Ymir is juggled between the Cambion's fists, his head becoming hazy and fogged by pain and physical trauma. One final uppercut to the chin lays Ymir out on the beach, motionless. Belain calls one of his Yazatan swords into his hand. You know nothing about being chosen for a higher purpose. My father risked everything and was finally killed, all to see me birthed. I am the culmination of his aspirations. I alone was worth dying for. A being that was alive for hundreds of thousands of years gave up his life to create me. My life has purpose. My destiny is to carry out my father's will. I can feel it in my blood. My muscles scream out for vengeance against the Yazata. That is my birthright. That is my destiny. Ymir stirs, beginning to laugh, even though he is still in a great deal of pain. You have fully bought into their propaganda. The devils do not care about you. Your father needed the power that would result from a union between a Yazatan spirit and human flesh. If it was not you, it would have been one of the others. You are not the only Cambion ever to exist. The Yazata constantly hounded me, Belain screams. I was hunted like wild game. I was under attack both day and night. Only by killing my tormentors was I given any relief. You cannot expect me to believe that others were as capable as I. The warriors of heaven must be incompetent fools if every child of destiny was able to make sport of them. No, I alone was able to overcome the swords of heaven. Can you not see me as the proof in the air above you? The Yazatan swords align in a ring above Ymir. It is an impressive collection of blades to be sure, but I would have many more souvenirs if I too were more sentimental, Ymir says dismissively. You have never wiped out an entire village to the very last soul. You have never experienced the thrill of challenging the greatest fighters a city has to offer and standing triumphantly over their corpses. And how many Yazata have you killed? Belain asks. As far as I've heard, you have only faced one Yazata and been handily defeated each time. This time it is Ymir that becomes angry. Cedrion would be too much for even you to handle. A common Yazata is not even comparable to him. Of course you would say that the Yazata that defeated you is no mere low-level soldier, Belain taunts. Anything to save that fragile pride. If you would like to test yourself against him, I am sure that he is somewhere on this island watching us all. Cedrion is the mastermind to a great many of our frustrations. I would assume that he is behind this tournament as well. Who else could have raised Inyana's soul from hell but a Yazata? I will solve all of the world's problems with the Yazata. Because they have tormented me and murdered both of my parents, I will not leave a single Yazata alive. With the Banukazka, I will slay them all. Normally, I would not stand in the way of such a noble effort. I too desire to see the end of these pompous creatures, Ymir says. But I must win this tournament so that I may kill my own enemies. Your revenge is less important to me than my own. I am sure that you can understand. Belain nods. I understand, but I'm still going to have to kill you. Yamura, you've kept him talking for a while, Jake says. Have you come up with a way to defeat him yet? Nothing is for certain with a power as strong as his, Yamura admits. I am confident, however, in my strategy. Vaettir throws his arms down, sending the Yazdan swords towards Yamura. As the blades speed down at the Sakari, Yamura dives towards Vaettir. Rather than risk stabbing himself, the Cambion's blades drop lifelessly to the ground. As Yamura nears, Vaettir outspeeds him and grabs the Sakari by his shirt. Yamura flares out his aura to push his foe back and delivers a hard kick to the chest. Vaettir recovers instantly, retaliating with a left hook that drops Yamura to his knees. The Sakari's head is filled with confusion, and he fights to remain conscious. Vaettir extends a hand, consuming Yamura in energy. The Sakari is blasted to the side, skidding along the earth and leaving a trench. Yamura's hair reverts to normal and his seal acellar markings vanish. You have stepped far above your station, Vaettir says with scorn. You are far too lowly to be challenging the divine. Seeing Yamura go down, the other fighters tense in preparation of rejoining the battle. Aginestra! Provost Butler and Sinnoh shout, casting fire magic on the Cambion. Vaettir waves the spells off easily. Mixe. Sentium Gladi! Zaya shouts, filling the sky with phantom swords. She sends the metallic downpour upon this Cambion, who telepathically controls his Yazdan swords to animate and defend. The swords duel against each other in the sky, fighting without being held by any swordsman. Vaettir appears behind Zia with Black Shinkonito and strikes her in the back, rendering the girl out cold. All of Zaya's phantom swords instantly vanish. He summons one of his own blades into his hand and prepares to drive it down through the unconscious mage, when he is knocked back by a powerful magical blast of energy from the other mages. Even with all of you fighting against me, I have still been able to fend off each of your best attacks, Vaettir boasts. As you wear down, my stamina remains the same. As offspring of a Yazata, I have infinite energy. Devil, Mishi corrects. You are the offspring of a devil. Vaettir grows irate, grinding his teeth and balling his fists tightly. None of you seem to grasp the magnitude of power I wield. Using biokinesis, Vaettir forces all of the humans and champions of Seleat Terram to their knees. None of them are able to resist the psychic control. Only Mishi remains standing, immune to the ability due to his own unique heritage as a Sabati. You are all too weak to claim the Banukazka. Only one with Yazdan blood is worthy of a Yazdan blade. With his entire body shaking, Jake slowly stands and resists the biokinesis. Because his Yazdan link is much more distant than either Vaettir or Mishi, it is much more difficult for him to fight the psychic control. I thought as much, Mishi whispers. It seems as though he was chosen for a reason. You? Vaettir growls. How does a nobody like you have Yazdan ancestry? The hero of Katal-Tukuk and Keto and I have a common ancestor, Jake says. The blood of heroes flows through my veins as well. Vaettir begins to laugh. You are no hero. You're a foolish child playing make-believe. If you continue with this nonsense, you are going to die. Hui overhears Jake's announcement and a chill runs up his spine at the speaking of Enkidu's name. An ancient and primal fear resurfaces within the Sakari, and he cannot help but tremble. Are you well? Kazura asks, sensing Hui's complexion pale. It is nothing, Hui replies, trying to compose himself. Just an old wound reopened. Do you still fear that man, Enkidu? Kazura asks with a grin. Hui scoffs, trying to dismiss him. That is absurd. I fear no human. The mages of Endelgian attempt to strategize while Jake and Vaettir converse. They know this may be their best and last opportunity to strike, but cannot act upon it due to the biokinesis restraints in place. Can you still cast? Danny asks Zaya. Zaya closes her eyes, trying to visualize the symbols for fire and spirit. She moves to the other elements, but is equally unsuccessful. No, I think he has an ability to block our connection to magic, as well as bind our physical bodies. I bet he probably has a lot of abilities we haven't even seen yet, Butler says. This might be as far as we go. You can't give up, Danny says. We've been through too much to just quit. What about all of our friends that have already fallen on this mission? Did they just die for nothing? Without our magic, what can we do? Butler asks. We can't even move. None of us has any Yazitan heritage. He's right, Allure says. We're all pretty much dependent on Jake right now. I began this mission without the use of magic, but I've found a way to make myself useful and continue fighting, Danny says. I'm not about to give up now. The Savard Alfar, Minduth, approaches the biokinesis-bound Faeborn. He grins, drawing a sword and slowly brushing it across the helpless cheek of Zobella. She shuts her eyes tightly, unable to recoil from the dark elf's touch. Poor child, Minduth taunts. Your brother is not here to save you. Don't touch her, Klebar growls. I'll rip your arms off and beat you to death with them. Is this the company you now keep in your brother's absence? Minduth asks. He would be so disappointed. How about I kill you, and you ask him yourself, Zobella cries, tearing up. Jake. Soft female voice reaches into the teen's mind. Jake Stewart, can you hear me? Who? Jake whispers. My name is Chalsarda. I am the guardian spirit of this island. The Vaettir spirit accompanying your soul reached out to me at the site of my old shrine. It has been so long since anyone has spoken to me. I'd forgotten how to respond. Most of the beings that now occupy this world ignore our existence and abuse the wonders of creation. Perhaps our existence has been altogether forgotten. I do not know which. While it's nice to meet you, I'm kinda in the middle of something, Jake says. Charsaldra studies the situation for a moment. That one has a dark aura within him. I sense terrible things inside his heart, she says, speaking of Verlaine. He's a Cambion, Jake explains, and he has us all in a bad way. Descendants of my siblings, Chalsaldra observes. They are here with you. She becomes troubled. They are bound by this Cambion's power. He has the powers of a devil and can control mortal bodies with some kind of psychic ability, Jake says. Who are you talking to? Verlaine growls. Are you and your Sakari trying to strategize? You may be able to resist my control, but as soon as you switch over, I will stop Yamura dead in his tracks. I can release the Fae descended from his control. Will that help you? A lot, actually. Consider it my thanks for reminding me that there are still reasons we Fae are needed in this world. Any chance you can give me some kind of power-up? I'm fighting on literal fumes at this point. I can't even connect to Amarok in my current condition. I was a protective spirit of this island. I've never engaged in any form of violence. Oh, Jake replies, disappointed. Well, thanks anyways. I can, however, heal your body and spirit to its fullest state. You what? Jake blurts out, causing Verlaine unease. The Cambion tenses, drawing his Yazitan swords in close around him. Restoring you is a simple feat. Those who came to my shrine in the times past We're always left rejuvenated and invigorated with life energy. Jake's body begins to illuminate with sparkles of Fey energy. Verlaine is the first to sense the teen's power rising back to its fully rested state. "What are you doing?" Verlaine whispers in disbelief. Is this one of their spells?" He turns towards the mages, his Yazatan swords also moving in their direction. He releases the blades at the paralyzed mages, but Jake outspeeds the first, catching it with one hand and pivoting to arc the weapon downwards to block the second. Jake stands in front of the magicians, parrying each sword and sending them clattering off to the sides. Cleavarg locks Verlaine in a full Nelson hold from behind, lifting the Cambion off the ground and preventing the use of his arms. Zilbella rushes in, repeatedly stabbing Verlaine in the sides with a short dagger. Jake darts forward, driving the Yazatan sword up through Verlaine's ribcage. Verlaine coughs, choking on his blood. Wet splatters of red cover his front and splash to the ground. Jake rips the sword sideways just as Cleavarg releases his hold, nearly severing Verlaine in two. Verlaine collapses, blood everywhere. How dare you?" He coughs violently. You aren't worthy." Jake looks down on the Cambion with pity, ready to finish him off with the sword. "Apparently someone upstairs disagrees with you." Black energy escapes the wound, encircling Verlaine in a shroud of darkness. "You have ended this mortal shell, but I am a child of divinity. Do you think that death can keep me bound? My radiance is the same as the Yazata. Death cannot contain me." "You're only half Yazatan," Jake corrects, "and that half is corrupted by the Devilnay curse. You speak of things you know nothing about. I have met and slain numerous Yazata. What interactions have you had?" Jake recalls how Cedrion has both manipulated and saved him multiple times for his own secret plans. Just picturing the Yazata in his mind makes Jake angry. "Nothing positive. Why else do you think I want one of their weapons? Nothing is more sure to kill a Yazata than one of their own swords." "This is true," Verlaine admits. "The blades of Yazatan warriors are very effective against them." Black wings of energy begin to stretch out from the darkness as Verlaine's wrecked mortal body changes form and mutates. The power of the Devilnay overcomes any traces of Yazatan energy, and Verlaine transforms into a creature of pure evil, birthed from the loins of a true devil. Verlaine straightens his height to over 7 feet. The Cambion's arms and torso are unnaturally long, and his tone is very thin and bony. The creature's awkward arms end in large hands spiked with knife-like black claws. A maniacal gaze of red eyes and shifting black pupils stares deeply into Jake's soul. Verlaine grins, his mouth full of sharp, crooked teeth. "This feels better," he hisses. "My old form was restricted. Now I feel free." "Damn it," Jake groans. His energy has skyrocketed. He's several times stronger than he was before when he was a human. "This must be the true form of a Cambion, a hellish abomination of mortal flesh and devil's spirit," Ymra says. "With our full power still bound, I don't think I can beat him on my own," Jake admits, not even after being restored by the Fae. "That is not questionable," Ymra states, insulting Jake. "We stand zero chance of going against this creature and coming out victorious. This creature is even stronger than my sister." "Stronger than Inyana?" Jake whispers. His voice is full of fear and doubt. Ymra nods. I would venture to say that this Cambion surpasses even Cedrion's fearsome power. After all we've done to stay in this fight? Jake balls his fists in regret and frustration. To still have it end without us being able to bring any of these bastards down? We forced him to discard his mortal shell, Yamura admits. How could we have known that he would have even a more powerful transformation hidden in reserve? Vaettir looks beyond Jake, no longer acknowledging the teen as a threat. The object of the Cambion's gaze notices something far stronger than any of his current foes. And Ashura turns her head, hardly impressed. You are the next strongest being after me on this island. Should we save our fight for the tournament, or discard the appearance of competition once and for all and get this over with? Ashura scoffs, looking away. Really? Even now I am beneath your notice? Vaettir growls. You are not a god, Ashura says coldly. She refuses to look back at Vaettir. Angered, Vaettir grips one of his Yozdan swords tightly and prepares to attack. We cannot allow the two of them to fight, Yamura says. Why not? Maybe one of them will kill the other, Jake shrugs. That is exactly why. Due to the seal ability active on this island, whichever one of them wins will gain the other's powers and abilities. Oh, Jake says. That's not good. Jake grips the Yozdan sword he grabbed earlier from Vaettir and tries to steal his resolve. The overwhelming power radiated by the Cambion is greater than even Inyana's. He isn't sure that he can even do anything to stop Vaettir, but he must try. Running towards Vaettir, Jake attempts to drive the sword through the creature's back. Without looking, black energy wings suddenly appear to slap Jake aside. Why are you still bothering me? Vaettir growls. Did I not make it abundantly clear that you are not worth my time? Jake grinds his teeth in anger and frustration. He's right. We're too far beneath him to matter. Stop it, Yamura scolds. Since when do you give up because an opponent is strong? I was stronger than you, but you did not hesitate to fight me. Inyana, Cedrion, Rapture, Hui, the Doctor, all of them were stronger than you. Why do you now crumble in defeat? He's not just strong. He might be even more powerful than Cedrion. What can we do against that? Look around you. You're not alone. Instead of trying to do this by yourself, allow your allies to assist. Alone we cannot win, but all of us together fight. Not even the Cambion can overcome us. Yamura, Jake whispers, focus on breaking the spell that is preventing the mages from using their powers. How am I supposed to know how to do that? Was all of your magic training on the way here useless? Surely you have picked up on something useful. You can't just cram a lifetime of magical knowledge and experience into a few days' practice. It doesn't work that way. You had better make it work. If we do not get past this Cambion, we will never have the chance to avenge your mother, Claire, my father, or Elio. You're right, Jake sighs. It really pisses me off, but you're absolutely right. We can't give up, no matter what. We have to win this fight, so that we can face Hui and Inyana. Jake's body combusts with the black flame aura. If you don't want to acknowledge me as a real threat, I guess I'm gonna have to make you take notice. Vaettir rolls his eyes in irritation and exerts his own black aura to knock the teen backwards. Jake skids back several feet but manages to shield his face with an arm and keep his balance. Jake balls his fists in anger, flaring out the black flame with his emotions. I said, I'll make you acknowledge me. The teen speeds towards Vaettir, but the Cambion again pushes him back with only his energy. You won't brush me aside, Jake screams, fighting against the energy to walk back towards Verlaine. Annoying, Verlaine growls, turning to face Jake. Is this what you wanted? To die with me acknowledging you? He summons his Yazatan swords and sends them to impale Jake. I do not acknowledge you as a worthy foe, but you will die all the same. Jake evades and blocks the swords as best he can, only taking grazing damage to his arms and thighs. The more you try to discount me, the bolder I'll become. But remember, you aren't fighting against just me. You're fighting all of us. Verlaine circles his swords back around, but is attacked from behind by Mishi, with a double-fisted smash to his back. Suddenly, a gust of wind magic from Thor causes the Cambion to stumble several steps forward. As Verlaine is stunned, Zilbella and Ilianaro attack with nature magic, vines wrapping tightly around his wrists and ankles. Keep your eyes on me, Jake screams, driving his knee into Verlaine's jaw. The Cambion's face contorts in pain before his body is sent crashing through a row of trees. The psychic control holding the mages hostage is suddenly removed. I can feel a connection to my magic again, Allure whispers. This is our chance, Danny screams. Everyone, attack him with all you have. The mages and the champions of Celeat Terram assault Verlaine with their most powerful spells, keeping the Cambion on the defensive. Jake and Mishi rush in, engaging Verlaine in physical combat, as he is bombarded by magic from all sides. The attacks pummel Verlaine, keeping him from being able to think clearly enough to strategize and probably make the most of his advantages. Enough! Verlaine screams, flaring out his aura to push everyone back and darting up high into the sky. The Cambion's black aura flashes and pulsates wildly with his anger. Flashes of red electrical energy crackle around his form. All of you, disappear! You fool! Inya shouts. You will destroy the entire island! Kazura watches the events unfold with interest. I never expected him to act so irrationally. That much power is far too unstable to be wielded by a human. Even a half-devil such as Verlaine. Verlaine tilts his head slightly to the side, a crescent of black energy streaking past. Jake leaps into the air towards him, rearing back with a wildly flickering sword of black fire. Jake slashes quickly mid-air, unleashing several more energy blades. Verlaine evades the attacks with his speed alone, not even having to rely on teleportation anymore. Jake reaches Verlaine and swings with all of his might, but the Cambion merely sidesteps him without any concern at all. Jake immediately pivots in the air and slashes vertically, but Verlaine blocks his attack with the Yazdan sword without turning around to face him. Growing frustrated, Jake continues to attack Verlaine from multiple angles, but the Yazdan swords are too strong a defense and block every move he makes. Below, the mages of Endelgion desperately look for an opening to help Jake, but the two of them are moving so fast that it's difficult for all but the most highly trained of fighters to keep up. Rakja Su-Na Rabim, Prophet Suberi chants, trying to slow Verlaine enough for Jake to land a blow. Niksei, Verlaine says, negating the spell and evading Jake's next pass before pivoting to kick the team in the back. Jake flips several times in the air to cancel some of his momentum and immediately thrusts himself from the earth back into a direct path towards the Cambion. All of Jake's aura converges upon his blade, increasing the black flames many times over. Mirror magic! Reflects! Fusiniers! Provost Rom shouts, using her magic to duplicate Jake by 2 as he rears back and unleashes his attack. Basaia! Totong! Wele! Jake screams, swinging his sword and hurling a massive wave of black flame energy at Verlaine. Due to the mage's mirror spell, 2 other versions of Jake simultaneously unleash their own attacks. All 3 blasts slam into Verlaine, consuming the entire sky in flames. The explosion is enormous, changing the entire atmosphere around the island for miles. Even the spell protecting Jockey from detection is erased temporarily by the blast. Extra long arms of darkness reach out from the smoke, grabbing Jake and his duplicates and hurling them to the ground. Jake hits hard, and his duplicates instantly vanish on impact. The mages, Butler, Sinnoh, and Zaya sprint along the beach towards Verlaine, drawing their swords and enchanting the blades as they run. Verlaine cocks his head downwards, mouth hanging open and drooling with slack expression. The Cambion's eyes burn as red embers, his pupils now unseen. Reflets, plus seigneurs, Rom shouts, targeting her friends as they run and duplicating each of the 3 mages by 2 copies each. The mages leap into the air to surround Verlaine, slashing their swords in unison. Light magic, Zulong slash. Dragons made of light magic erupt from each blade, attacking Verlaine from all sides. Weak to light magic, the half-devil does his best to evade the dragons rather than combat them directly. Verlaine and the dragons dart around the sky, flickering like blinding beacons. The Cambion summons Yazatan's swords into his hands to defend against the light dragons, and utilizes Black Shunkonito when necessary. Creonle, Allure chants, boosting the stats of her allies. The 3 combat mages enter the battle with their boosted speed, slashing at Verlaine in conjunction with their dragons. Ayami Shokan, Hymenoptera, Alcine shouts, summoning a swarm of wasps. Verlaine cannot bother with the insects, too busy dodging the more serious threats of light dragons and enchanted swords. Most of the wasps burn up just by nearing the Cambion's smothering aura. Lower life forms are unable to resist the sheer destructive power of the creature's energy. Danny looks at her bracers with frustration. She is angry that she only has 5% remaining on each arm. I only have enough magic power for 1 or 2 more spells. I have to make sure that whatever I cast is important. Verlaine swipes his hand out, the appendage extending many feet and arcing in a circle to slap the mages back down to the ground. One of the light dragons manages to collide with the arm, reducing it to particles of light. Verlaine rears back with a howl of pain, his manifested arm completely gone. I have to attack now, while we have an opening, Danny thinks. We can still win this battle. Before Danny can react, Jake is back to his feet. The teen looks rough, blood covering his face and arms, and most of his shirt is missing. He can barely keep his eyes open due to fatigue and bruising already setting in. You and me, Jake growls. We ain't done yet. Verlaine's arm regrows, a sickly black liquid flowing out from the wound and outlining the appendage before hardening. You should be dead by now. Your body should not be able to withstand the force I struck you with. All of your bones should be crushed and your organs liquefied. Jake combusts the black flame around him. I guess I'm just too stubborn to die. Is that so? Verlaine growls. I'm sure I can rectify that problem. Jake manifests another fiery sword in his hands and pulls his energy into it, causing the flames to triple in size. Verlaine draws his Yazatan's sword back to him. I'm killing you, and taking all of that immense power to use for good, Jake says. Verlaine laughs. That is a waste of power. My strength exists only to kill the Yazata. I care about nothing else. And that's why you aren't going to win this tournament, Jake says, his flames continuing to grow. You don't have anything worth fighting for. Verlaine sends the swords down at Jake, but he puts everything he has into his next swing. The force of the black flame energy generated by Jake's swing deflects the blades and sends a massive wall of black fire towards Verlaine. The Cambion's eyes widen in surprise, and he evades the energy with Black Shunkonito. Jake's chest heaves with exhaustion. Damn it, he coughs. I put everything I had into that swing. Verlaine smiles arrogantly. And your best is not enough. You will never be able to reach me with your insignificant power. I'd hoped To have been able to do more damage with that last attack. Jake coughs. More damage? Verlaine is confused. What damage? You weren't able to touch me. Splatters of blood drop to the ground. Verlaine cannot believe that even with Shinkonito, he was unable to fully dodge. A line of red erupts across Verlaine's chest, spraying blood outwards. The power of both Yasuta and their devil counterparts begins to heal and close up the wound almost instantly. If I'd been able to cut you in half, you wouldn't be healing from that, Jake coughs. The combat mages and their duplicates rush the injured Cambion, hoping to capitalize off Jake's successful attack. As soon as Verlaine heals, he pivots and brings his Yasutan swords around to defend against his aggressors. Ayami Shokan, Ogui, Korkoi, Alcine shouts, casting a spell to summon a carnivorous death worm beneath Verlaine. Verlaine senses the vibrations below and leaps up, narrowly evading the death worm as it erupts from the ground underneath him. He shouts out in pain, the creature managing to bite through his right leg. The combat mages break through Verlaine's defenses in his distraction, scoring multiple cuts and stabs. Using Black Shunkonito, Verlaine relocates to heal and gather his thoughts. There are too many of them to continue fighting all at once, Verlaine thinks in frustration. I cannot fight all of them without leaving myself vulnerable. Verlaine raises his Yasutan swords into the air above him, black energy still rippling from his body in thick waves. The swords themselves become infected with the dark energy and turn black. A ring of fire encircles the battlefield, blocking everyone except Jake, Mishi, Klebarg, Zobella, Alyssa, and Bernat from the battle with Verlaine. Looks like we were chosen, Klebarg grins. I'm so glad I made the cut. Verlaine tilts his head unnaturally, his eyes now completely black, and his expression is maniacal. His mouth hangs open with a creepy grin full of sharpened teeth. He no longer resembles a human at all. Verlaine has been fully consumed by his devil lineage. This was not about selection. You were merely too close to my proximity to be excluded. I must take you out a few at a time rather than all at once. Individually, none of you are more than a nuisance, but together you pose a minor, yet still persistent problem. Bernard and Alyssa glance at each other quickly, neither fighter saying a word to each other. Holding their swords out, both of their weapons flash with illuminated magical glyphs. Rasapad, they chant, granting their blades the power to nullify healing abilities. Enen no Samahuana, they chant next, protecting those that hold the swords from being placed under any kind of paralysis, mind control, or curses. Before the warriors can cast their third and final enchantments, Verlaine moves between them and punches Bernat while simultaneously elbowing Alyssa. Finiuna Saghiada, Zobella says, raising numerous wooden arrows from the ground and firing them in rapid succession from her bow. Verlaine pivots, catching the first arrow in his hand. As more arrows speed towards him, multiple smaller black hands sprout from the Cambion's energy to grab them as well. Verlaine's twisted grin grows, becoming more distorted and stretching all the way across his face. Verlaine extends his other arm, more black hands sprouting out before they morphed into arrows and fire themselves at Zobella. Klebarg intercepts with deceptive speed, taking the black arrows to his chest and arms. The giant grimaces in pain. You alright? Zobella nods, surprised the Jotnar has become so protective of her. Yeah, thanks. Verlaine's darkness ripples with his irritation, and he prepares another attack, when he is hit from behind by a combined black flame attack by Yamura and Mishi. The Cambion's head twists around, his body following after with a frightening spin. Learn your place, worms, Verlaine growls, sending the blackened swords down at them. Both Mishi and Yamura throw their hands up to deflect the swords with energy blasts. Verlaine rushes in, grabbing Yamura by the face and pivoting to slam his back against the ground. Mishi attempts to attack with a series of punches and kicks, but the darkness around Vaettir forms black arms to defend each strike. Zilbella perches from Klebarg's shoulder, a long plant stalk risen up to support her with more arrows. Other plants have grown up to form protective cover around her with their petals. Vaettir is insulted that the elf thinks flowers will block his attacks. He gathers his darkness all around him, taking on the form of an enormous horned beast that hangs over him like a shadow. Bioma, grain! Zilbella screams, her flowers opening up to bombard Vaettir with beams of light energy. The darkness of Vaettir shrinks away from the light, greatly weakening the Cambion. Zilbella fires several more arrows into Vaettir's exposed torso as the black recedes. He stumbles, alarmed that the wounds are not healing as he rips out the arrows. Alyssa and Vernat rush past, slashing their blades through the backs of Vaettir's ankles and dropping him to his knees. With Vaettir weakened so, the flames surrounding their battle suddenly vanish. And the mages of Endelgion do not allow this crucial opportunity to be missed. Ristranta! Alor shouts, conjuring magical chains to bind Vaettir's wrists and ankles. Faz Finiuna, Ilionaro shouts, wrapping vines all around the Cambion to further restrict his movement. Terra Rock, Yama Friim, Loso Ya Makim. Butler and Zuberi both chant, casting the level 3 binding spell and enclosing the Cambion in a cube of red energy. Vaettir strains against the magic, forcing cracks to appear in the barrier. The Cambion screams, ripping free of the chains and vines and causing the red energy to shatter all around him. Klebarg runs at him, hammering Vaettir with hard lefts and rights. Vaettir throws a hand out to push the giant back with psychokinesis, but Klebarg comes right back with more hard strikes. Fulith wraps cyclones around Vaettir's legs, preventing him from moving. Ymura combusts the black flame aura around his body and channels all of his energy into his hands, throwing them out towards Vaettir. Klebarg and Fulith dive to the sides just as the fiery energy collides with Vaettir and consumes him in an enormous explosion. The Cambion stumbles forward, smoke rolling off his body. Entire sections of his body are missing and drip off onto the earth in oily pools. One of Vaettir's black eyes has returned to normal, and it is apparent that his devil powers have reached their limits. Ayami Shokan, Alcine chants. Jindwegi. A horde of conjured ticks crawl over the Cambion and latch on. Vaettir screams in horror as his entire body vanishes beneath a mountain of blood-sucking ticks. The creatures swell to several times their original size, feeding on their victim. Jake shudders in fright at the horrific scene. As terrible as the Cambion was, he cannot imagine a more gruesome death. With a final desperate scream, Vaettir expels the ticks, disintegrating them with his energy. He drops to his hands and knees, chest heaving. Despite surviving the spell, the ticks have fed on most of his remaining energy, and he no longer has the ability to fight back. The battle has been decided. Jake takes back control, allowing Ymura to rest. He looks around, wondering who deserves to take the Cambion's enormous energy. For themselves. Everyone contributed. He feels it would be unfair for any one of them to claim such a lopsided prize. Mishi moves to stand over the Cambion, picking up one of the blackened Yazatan swords and holding it over his head. "Hey!" Jake shouts. "Who says you get the kill?" "I am the strongest opposing force to Hui on this island," Mishi says. "I know that your desire to end him is strong, but I too wish for nothing else. I will face Hui, and it is life, for all the evil he has committed." "We all fought against him," Jake shouts. "You can't just steal his power for yourself." Mishi brings his sword down across Vaettir's neck, decapitating him. The debate is over. The power of the Cambion washes over Mishi, making him easily 3 times as strong as before. As it stands now, he is even above Inyana in raw power. With access to the psychic abilities of a devil, Mishi has positioned himself as the #1 threat in the tournament. Damn it, Jake growls. We went through all of that for nothing. This is why we cannot trust anyone in this tournament, Imuro says. We may have common enemies or goals, but this is a competition, and only one person will be able to win. Working with others may at times be necessary, but do not forget that only one of us may win the tournament. Things like friends and allies will quickly disappear once it becomes more clear that each one of us is in this tournament for ourselves. Danny and her friends are on our side. I trust them, Jake argues. For now, what happens when one of them must face us in the tournament? Are you willing to give up on your chance to kill Hui out of friendship? You cannot fool me. You desire to battle Hui more than anything else right now. I am going to fight and kill Hui, but I'm not going to change who I am. If I trample good people to achieve my goals, how am I any different from Hui? You say that now, but only time will tell.